Now, Walton Goggins isn't just any other actor. When he goes to play a character, he immerses himself in that role and makes himself that character. Whether it's a crooked cop, or a smooth-talking villain, or even a tragic anti-hero, he brings menace, vulnerability, and charm to his characters, which leave us all hooked and watching. Born Walton Sanders Goggins Jr. on November 10th, 1971 in Birmingham, Alabama. He grew up with that southern voice and swagger that later become a signature in his roles.
Well, ain't love grand? Y'all lying on the ground make snow angels together?
But behind the accent is an actor who can disappear into any genre: crime drama, comedy, westerns, and even Marvel movies. And today, we're going to dive into his career, from humble beginnings to Emmy nominations, and as well, some unforgettable characters from movies and TV. Now let's get stuck into Walton Goggins' career. Early career and breakthrough. Goggins paid his dues with small roles in shows like Beverly Hills 90210 and NYPD Blue. His first big turning point came in Robert Duvall's film The Apostles in 1997. Duvall saw something in Goggins and gave him a chance to shine. Walton often says that role changed his life. Then in 2001, he co-produced and starred in a short film, The Accountant. This wasn't just a side project. It actually won the Academy Award for Best Live Action Short Film. And in that moment, Walton proved that he was more just than an actor, he was a storyteller with range. Now, my grandmother loved her, I would guess her police shows and stuff like that, and this happened to be one of her favourites, and it was awesome to see Walton Goggins in it, and it's called The Shield. In 2002, everything changed when he was cast in The Shield as Detective Shane Vendrell. Over 7 seasons, Goggins took what could have been a one-note crook cop and turned him into one of the most layered, tragic figures on TV. Shane was reckless, emotional, and often terrifying, but as loyal and deeply human. His complicated friendship with Michael Chiklis, Vic McKay, become the emotional core of the series. And by the time The Shield ended in 2008, Walton Goggins had cemented himself as one of TV's most fearless actors. Now I think everyone would remember this one, and this was a pretty good show, and it was called Justified. And Walton Goggins played Boyd Crowder in this one. And it was actually pretty cool to see that he was actually meant to die in the pilot, and because he was so magnetic and unpredictable, the producers actually rewrote the show around him. Across 6 seasons from 2010 to 2015, Boyd became the ultimate foil to Timothy Olyphant's Raylan Givens. Goggins played him with a mix of criminal cunning and philosophical charm. He never quite knew if Boyd was about to shoot someone or deliver a sermon.
I am the outlaw.
And because he performed so well on this show, he actually earned himself an Emmy nomination for this show as Best Outstanding Supporting Actor. And honestly, if you ask any fan of Justified, they'll probably tell you that Boyd Crowder is probably one of the best characters in TV of all time. This next one happens to be, Rick put it up there in my top 3 of characters of Walton Goggins, and it happened to be while Justified was running, audiences didn't even know it, but Walton Goggins was going to step out and perform one of his most boldest and surprising characters, and I feel one of the best characters that ever popped up on Sons of Anarchy, and it happened to be Venus Van Dam, the transgender escort that pops up in a couple of escorts, and I feel Tig somewhat falls in love with her, and I think majority of the world did as well when they seen her on Sons of Anarchy, and then next thing you know, she popped up in a couple more episodes. Venus could have been written as a stereotype, but in Goggins' hands, she became a fan favourite. Funny, flamboyant, vulnerable, and full of heart. His chemistry with Tig, played by Kim Coates, was unexpected but beautiful.
I can give you a hint. It's not gonna happen, Doug.
Adding a layer of humanity and tenderness to the show, built on violence and chaos.
Stop it! She's getting away!
To me, it's another example of Walton Goggins' fearlessness to just portray whoever he wants. He brought dignity, humanity, and love to a character which, pretty much I feel was one of the best characters out of Sons of Anarchy. And he did, I even feel himself, he loved doing that character that much that I wish he could do it again. It would be epic to see. Now, after years of dark and gritty roles, and you gotta admit, Venus Van Dam wasn't that bad or dark or gritty. I find it was quite hilarious, but it might have just been the lead up to the next 2 things that really, I feel, made him pop off really good. And that happened to be Vice Principals and The Righteous Gemstones. And of course, in Vice Principals, he was Vice Principal Lee, and Righteous Gemstones, Baby Billy. So Goggin showed his comedic side in Vice Principals from 2016 to 2017. Played Lee Russell, a conniving school administrator in a dark comedy from Danny McBride. It was outrageous, mean-spirited, and absolutely hilarious, proving that Goggins could do comedy as well as drama.
I'm burning this down.
And other than, you know, the Venus Van Dam, where I thought he was actually quite hilarious, that was one of the first roles that I actually seen him in where he was full comedy. Like, I gotta admit, I liked him in Predators. That was a really good one, even though it was a sci-fi, and probably more leaning along the action. I actually felt he was pretty hilarious out of that. But because of Vice Principals, that led him to another McBride project, the HBO's Righteous Gemstones. And since 2019, he's played Baby Billy Freeman, a washed-up child preacher with a giant ego and a fragile heart. Baby Billy steals nearly every scene he's in, and balancing over-the-top comedy with real pathos.
There will come a payday, hallelujah, what a payday.
And I gotta admit, Uncle Baby Billy is really good. Like, it's quite hilarious. And then it's even more cool to see in when he has the interviews and stuff to actually say that he has a body double. That body's actually not really his, especially when the first time you got to see him, he was getting out of the bathtub and he was rather naked, or pretty much all the way naked. Now, as he was dominating TV, Walton actually built himself a quite impressive movie career. Quentin Tarantino cast him in Django Unchained in 2012 as Billy Crash.
Oh, I'm gonna go walking in the moonlight with you.
And again in The Hateful Eight in 2015 as Sheriff Chris Mannix, a role that allowed him to go toe-to-toe with legends like Samuel L. Jackson and Kurt Russell.
Which is the ugliest guy did it.
He also popped up in Steven Spielberg's Lincoln in 2012 and the sci-fi actioneer Predators in 2010.
Your ass is awesome.
And then again in the Marvel blockbuster Ant-Man and the Wasp in 2018, where he played a shady businessman, Sonny Birch.
Ah, Susan.
Now, not stopping there, he turned villain again in Tomb Raider in 2018, and then also starred in the dark holiday action flick Fat Man in 2020 with Mel Gibson.
I broke it.
So whether it's like blockbuster movies or little indie films, Walton Goggins brings the same dedication that he does to his characters to everything, from movies as well as TVs. All around, he's a pretty awesome actor if you ask me. And it's not just movies and TVs, he actually lent his unmistakable voice to animation, where he plays Cecil Steedman in Invincibles, the Amazon animated series. And two of his latest biggest hits have been, well, the first one being in 2024, he played Cooper Howard in the new Amazon series Fallout, which at the start was a Hollywood cowboy, but eventually see that 200 years later, he's turned into a ghoul who is now roaming the wasteland trying to find his family. But he brings this awesome anti-hero to it, and then by the end of the first season, you see him sort of changing and liking the person he's with. And I can't wait to see the second season, because Walton Goggins seems like he pulls out all stops. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited to see some death claws. And in 2025, he joins season 3 of HBO's The White Lotus. His role as Rick, darkly comedic and unsettling, earned him another wave of critical acclaim, plus another Emmy nomination. So at this point, I don't think that Walton Goggins anymore is a scene stealer. I think that he's an all-out TV powerhouse. So what makes Walton Goggins so good? Is it the way that he commits to every role, whether it be a small film or, you know, a Hollywood blockbuster? He just brings all sorts of charm, menacing, vulnerability, dignity. His comedic side as well, you gotta love his comedy. Like, he's pretty hilarious no matter what role he does. So that's why I feel, whether it be crooked cops, villains, bad guys, principals, Uncle Baby Billy, like, Walton Goggins brings this energy that not a lot of actors bring forth these days, and he has this fearlessness. Like, he's not scared to push it to the next level or bear all, shall we say. Like, Walton Goggins to me is all well. He's hilarious, he's terrifying, as well as he's heartbreaking, and he deserves all the recognition on screen that we can give him. So we've come to the end, everyone. And I'd just like to ask you a quick question. What is your favourite Walton Goggins performance? Is it more of his serious roles where he's a police officer, or maybe his comedic roles, maybe, you know, Venus Van Dam or Uncle Baby Billy? That's definitely up there as one of my favourite picks. But I'd like to hear from you guys. Why don't you drop it down in the comments below? And as usual, I'd just like to thank all my subs for liking and watching my videos. I love you all. We're finally getting there, and I love making my videos for you. If you have any hints and tips, Why don't you drop it down in the comments? I'll message back to all of you. And as well, anyone that's new that's made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe jump over to my channel, check out some of my other videos. You might just like them. And as usual, I will catch you guys on the next one.